Hello, Tess.
Hello, Elijah. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. So glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm always
Yeah.
excited about these interviews and being able to hear, individuals' stories and their journeys. So, thinking about your story, Tess, and what you've gone through, think back to a point in your life where you feel like the full trajectory of your life changed. What did that moment in your life look like for you?
I think it was really when I was growing up in Hong Kong, raised by my mother and my sisters because my parents got divorced when I was quite young. So I was really living in a household with women, but it was fabulous. It was really great and a lot of nurturing. And my mother was a very strong woman, but at the same time, she was really attentive and motherly. And so so all those things really had a big influence on me. But I think the major influence was really when I realized I was developing hypoglycemia, which I knew that I had a family history of diabetes. But then in my 30s, my doctor warned me I was hypoglycemic, and that's when I started to make a lot of lifestyle changes to address that, to prevent myself from developing the disease. So I think looking back, that's what it was really.
Mm, mm. What women were with you during that period, and how did they support you during that journey and that season?
At that time, I was already living in the UK, but I had some really good friends, and all my female friends, they really were very supportive. Because some of them also had the same issues, and I found that with a really supporting network, it really helps. And they also gave me the encouragement to make changes with my habits, and that rather than just doing it alone, it's so helpful when you actually can have someone to talk to, some who's been there or who's been on the same journey with you.
Mm, mm. Were there things when you went through this journey that made you kind of like take a step back and pause on maybe your upbringing and your life experience, or maybe patterns that you might have seen repeating from your family, like in diets or whatnot? Like, were there, what did that look like for you, I guess? Anything that you feel like you've kind of carried from your family?
Yeah, being Chinese, we eat a lot of rice at home, and that's really our staple. So it would feature in almost every meal, unless we were having something Western, that evening. And that just became natural to us that, whenever you have your lunch or dinner, you have something with rice. But then I learned from my doctor that, that could contribute to, the development of diabetes because of the carbs. And also when people eat a lot of rice, then they might actually not be that mindful about the protein intake because you fill yourself up with one thing and then you eat less of the other thing. And so I became more conscious of it. And that really, an eye opener. But it's hard, because sometimes, as how we are brought up, it's part of our culture, you don't realize that. That could be some, and so to you, it's just so natural. And when it comes to making a change is hard too because it's really in your mind. I think, oh well, that's how I was brought up. That's always been part of my diet, but it doesn't have to be.
Mm. How did this story shape the work you're doing now? Like, I'm sure, because I know you're doing work in the wellness space. So tell us about that journey. Like, what led us to the place or the work that you're doing now? I guess what experiences?
Yeah, very much so. So when I was going through that phase when I was making changes, when I
Mm.
after I got diagnosed with hypoglycemia, I started doing my own research, reading books, going on the internet, looking for information, going through research studies. Then I became really interested in nutrition, and And I realized there's so much you can do to help yourself to make, changes with your eating habits. And so I decided to switch my career and move from London to New York
Oh my
to
goodness.
attend, NYU to, because I realized that you can actually do a master's degree in nutrition, and that's what I did. I moved from London to New York, did that, and after I completed my postgraduate, the weather got to me. It was really so cold. I wasn't used to the winters there. Then I moved to Los Angeles and started my own nutrition practice. And so I was practicing as nutritionist there for many years. And then I decided to move to Miami for warmer weather even.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, I was doing a lot of research, and also after having worked with a lot of nutrition clients, it made me realize that people really want the holistic approach. It's
Mm-hmm.
really more beneficial to them. So it's not just about eating. And sleep, exercise, stress management, and even social connection, all those aspects of lifestyle really make a difference. So that's when I actually switched into wellness coaching.
Mm. Was any of like your family history, like did that influence any of your work in any way? Like, do you bring in some of the modalities from your culture or anything like that into your work?
I do. My mother always, I didn't understand it when she used to say to me, because I was in little, she didn't really like the idea of dining out too much. And she
Mm-hmm.
always says, oh, it's not healthy eating out. It's much better eating at home. And then I used to think, why not? Because in a restaurant, if you can, order some good food, there's something, that's actually nutritious for you, it would just be the same. But now, with all what I know, I understand why she said that. Because when you are in a restaurant, you really have no control as to what they put in your food.
Mm-hmm.
You can make requests, and you can actually ask them to substitute something. But at the end of the day, you really have, you don't have the control like you would when you're home.
Mm-hmm.
So now I understand. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, she's not around anymore, but I'm sure she can hear me, and she knows that finally, that realization came that eating at home is really the best.
It truly is. The stuff they put in our food now, you can just tell the difference when you eat out
Mm,
versus cooking at home. Such a
yeah.
difference. Tell us.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
sorry, but I
Oh,
always
you
say to
can-
my clients, eating out is joyful too, and it's very social. So don't stop doing that. Just
right.
be mindful about it and do it from time to time.
No, that's so true. 80/20. I love that philosophy, like the 80/20. Try to do the best you can 80% of the time and have that flexibility to live and enjoy 20% of the time.
Yeah.
So I love it. Tell us more about your mom. I'd like to hear more about her. What was your upbringing like, and what did food mean in your culture?
Mm.
Like the dining experience and just times around the dinner table with your family or during holidays. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, food plays a big part in the Chinese culture, um, and also with parents, they see that's how they give love to their
Hmm.
children, how they can show how, the love they have, and for their loved ones. And so I grew up in a household. I was very fortunate that my mother would cook every meal that we had. She'd go to the market. Because in Hong Kong you have food markets, so some people prefer going to those rather than going to grocery stores.
I like
And
that.
she would, go on every day and bring something fresh for us. And she prefers, freshly cooked food. That's how I was brought up. And we like to sit together in the evening, and always sit down and have dinner. But even during the day, she will actually ask my sisters and me, and she wasn't dictatorial in that sense. She'd say, what would you like to have tonight? What do you feel like having? So we were very spoiled. We were very fortunate
Oh.
to be able to, have an opinion about, what we put in our bodies. So that was really enjoyable because she wanted us to enjoy our food, as well as, other things. And then, we would go out and eat as also we would have dim sum, with my family and friends and their friends. So we would do that sometimes at lunchtime. And during the holidays, so Chinese New Year is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's actually coming up. It's next month. And so it's really about family gatherings. And so we will get together as a family, and perhaps sometimes the extended family will join us too, or even friends, if their families happen to be abroad or they're by themselves. So we will invite them to come with us. We will either eat at home, but not necessarily. We might even go out and have a meal. But it's always vegetarian. It's just a day to feel that, perhaps it's a day you can just have vegetarian without actually involved, animals being sacrificed.
Right.
And so it's a big thing. I personally don't celebrate it much here because my family is not here. I have friends that I can do that with, but I don't know. It's just because of the way I was brought up. I just feel that if I'm with my family, then I'll celebrate it. If I'm not, then it's fine. Yeah.
What other, so I hear the Chinese New Year's was a tradition, and I know you and I chit-chatted a little bit in the questionnaire. What other kind of family traditions does your family have? Any other special traditions or things that just make you think back to your mom or your grandmother?
Yeah. We have the Moon Festival, and that normally occurs in August, September. When I say that, because it's according to the Chinese calendar. Which is different from the Western one. So it depends on what it falls on. A bit like with the Jewish calendar, it's different every year. And then we have the moon cakes. I don't know if you ever had those.
Probably not the authentic. It's not authentic.
Yeah. They made with some sort of the beans made into paste, and they're kind of sweet. They're really nice, and we will have those for Moon Festival. And then as kids, we will actually go around playing with little lanterns. And that's how we celebrate. So that would bring back a lot of fond memories. Again, that's not something I do anymore, and I don't eat mooncakes anymore because now I'm aware that they have preservatives. So I'm just a bit more mindful about that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's interesting. A moon festival, you called it, right? The moon festival. What's the story behind it? I'm just curious.
I'm actually not quite sure. I have to.
I was curious when you said it.
I have to tell you. But I just know it every year because as children, we love it because you get to go and play with other kids with little lanterns. So it's kind of really fun. So, that's what it was. And also we liked the moon cakes.
Right.
It's a bit like desserts.
No, that sounds good. I have to try it. They have there is a moon pie that they serve here in the States, but it's garbage. It's complete garbage. Yeah, so that's why it's got like a marshmallow filling and all that kind of stuff. It's just complete garbage. It's good, but it's garbage. So I'm curious if it was similar to that, but it definitely just sounds like an authentic Chinese recipe. I'll look into it out of curiosity. I love being exposed to different cultures. I laugh with my family. When I was a kid, I used to go to the library and get library books on different cuisines around the world. So that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. Interesting. Any other traditions or things that you'd like to speak on or share with our audience, just to kind of take us into your culture and, things family?
Yeah, my mother and my sisters happen to be Buddhists,
Okay.
and so from time to time we go to the temple, and I follow them. I didn't know what I was doing, and they burn some incense and just give respect, to the temple, and they would say some prayers. So again, that brings back a lot of memories
Oh my God.
from being a little kid. And even now, when I go back to Hong Kong to see my sisters, we will go to temples as well. And, it's just, to me, it feels more like a tradition rather than a religious thing.
Just something to keep carrying because your family, you guys did it
Yeah,
as children. Oh, that's beautiful. Um,
yeah.
Thinking about your mom or your grandmother, what qualities do you carry? Like, what did you learn from your mom, and what traits do you take forward?
Yeah, I think with my mom, she always encouraged me to be curious and adventurous. And I think that's where the passion for traveling comes from. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I guess that also comes from my father's side too. But my mother always encouraged me to experience the world. And when I moved to England, I was a teenager, and I'm sure that really, that broke her heart because I left when I was so young. But she never tried to stop me. She knew it was a very good way to see the world and to be educated. And so I suppose perhaps she felt that she wished she had done some of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so when it came to my turn, she really was very encouraging and supportive. But at the same time, she was very nurturing. As I said, she would, she really took pride in how she looked after us, and always made sure that, we were well fed. And that is so important. And I think because of that, I've always had very good eating habits because they were instilled into me as I was a child. And I think that's really important. With my friends now, when they have little kids, I always tell them the taste buds really get developed, when you're young, and those habits. And once they're formed, it's really difficult to try and change them when they're adults. So it's better to make sure that they eat well, and not to have cravings for sugar and those things that much. But when I was little, as I said, my mom always cooked, so we always had proper meals. Snacks were not really encouraged at
Mm-hmm.
home. My mother didn't really keep a lot at all. They were more like treats. So if I was going to a friend's house, then yeah, maybe I could have some. But then as an adult, I don't care for snacks because I have my meals and I feel that I'm satisfied from them, and so I don't feel the need to eat between. And it's not even something I'm that conscious about. It's just I suppose it's because that's the way I was brought up, so that really made a difference. And so I would encourage, the listeners, that, taste and eating habits are really important when someone is growing up.
That's so true. Because, yep, that's exactly what I hear from your story. Instill it young because it will carry with them, as they grow. So true. Um,
Yeah,
You said something in so just for our audience, I usually like to provide a list of questions beforehand and interact a bit with our guest. But I know, Tess, you had said something that the woman who raised you, your mother and your sisters, taught you strength and softness can coexist. And then you mentioned that your mother showed quiet resilience and perseverance, and your sisters showed courage, adaptability, and self-belief. So tell us about that. What things Tell us a little bit about that
yeah.
explanation there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think being adaptable is really important, and that came from my sister,
Mm-hmm.
my sisters. I have two, and they always taught me to be, adaptable and if something doesn't work, maybe try and look for something else, and see if there are the solutions to a problem, rather than being fixated with something. And that is so important in life, with your business, with your personal life, with all the decisions that you make. And so I think, a growth mindset is important rather than having a fixed mindset. And with my mother, she's strong. She definitely was a very strong woman. But at the same time, she was also very attentive and nurturing and loving. So that's where the softness came into it. And so, I believe, as a woman, you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And in fact, they complement each other. And so, all of these good qualities I've actually learned from them. I really appreciate them, and I really feel grateful, to actually understand what it really means, to be strong but soft, and to be adaptable, resilient. Being resilient is so important because life has, ups and downs.
Yes.
Yeah. So, when we get down, we have to be able to get back up. Yeah. And it's the same even when it comes to just, lifestyle changes. They're not always successful at the beginning. But you keep at it, and you just, and if you think of it as a learning opportunity rather than, a failure, then you will keep going, and it's really all in there.
So true. So true. So thinking about your mom, just out of curiosity, any stories there that caused her to, build some of that resilience and perseverance? Any stories there that you'd like to share? Maybe from her upbringing?
Yes, I love to. I think it's her resilience and how she, she was a very strong woman. I think it all came from her childhood. Her mother died when she was very young. It was a shock to her, and so she had to learn, and to deal with that at a very young age. Her brother was there to support her, and so was her father. But still, when for a little girl, that is quite traumatic. And so in a way, she became the lady of the family at a very young age. So I think that's how it all came about. But she was able to use her strength to bring us up. We even when our parents got divorced, she stayed resilient, and gave us what we needed. So it worked out well.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I can see that you definitely have your mom's resilience there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. My next question for you, and as we close, two parts here. One, when you think about the future generation and the work that you do now, what would you like to be known for and remembered for, and what wisdom would you impart to the next generation? And then I'd like to know where our listeners can find you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I think for the next generation, especially to do with my work, I think, it's really important to know that, to understand that health is the foundation of life. It really enables you to do everything you want to do, to spend time with your loved ones. And self-care is not selfish. In order to look after other people, to take care of them, you have to be well too. Because otherwise it doesn't work. If you're sick, it's no good. And rather than looking at taking care of your health as a burden, but think of it as something you can actually be in control of, something you can take pride of, and actually do. In many ways, it can be quite empowering. Because you feel that, just like in charge of your business or your career, your schedule, your spare time, you are in charge of your health, and there are lots of things you can do to prevent diseases and to stay well. But I think one thing I would stress is that don't overwhelm yourself, just like everything. Take one step at a time. Don't try to do 10 things at the same time,
Yes.
because then your brain will just say, oh boy, I can't do this, I can't do all these things. I'm not going to bother any